tells me we're not your first guests here.
Not like this.
You have no idea what I'm like.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Horror Huddle. I'm Stacy, Beth, and Ash.
Howdy.
This episode, we're going to be doing another one movie, little fun deal. We decided to do a newer one that was just released in this January, called Intruders, or Shut In.
Yeah.
Not to be confused, apparently there's also a movie called Intruders that came out as well already this year with like Miranda Cosgrove and stuff. So I think everybody's, of course my Google was so confused by that, but it goes by Shut In as well. So it was directed by Adam Schindler, who I guess this is his feature debut. Yeah, and written by T.J. Simfel and David White, who together directed a segment in
VHS Viral, I believe it was.
VHS Viral. If you've seen it,
the worst of all the VHS.
You know it's terrible. So you're going to understand this comes into play of when we talk about Intruders. Yeah. Anyways, so Intruder follows Anna, who's played by Beth Riesgraf. Everybody says she's known from this show called Leverage. I've never seen it, but she plays an agoraphobic woman who is taking care of her dying brother, Conrad. And he dies, and she's just kind of left there and hasn't left her house in 10 years, and kind of the only company she gets is a delivery boy who's, delivers food for them too, played by Rory Culkin. His name's Dan Cooper.
Really fun, funny personality when he talks to her. Always tries to cheer her up.
Yeah. So he was he was a cool character. He was, would always joke about what the food was for the day and stuff like that. Well, anyways, so at some point between the brother dying and him delivering food to her, she offers him a bunch of cash, I guess, that the brother left for her. She just didn't want it. She didn't want anything to do with it. She's just kind of totally just not handling this death well.
And I think the whole conversation kind of was around him saying, you need to get out, you need to escape, you can't be locked up here. And she's like, well, why don't you escape? And he's like, well, I just don't have the money for it. And she's like, oh, here. And she just brings out a whole bag full of money. And he's looking down at you want to give this to me?
Yeah.
She's like, he's like, no, I can't do that. I'm sorry.
And so of course he doesn't accept it. Well, then come the day of Conrad's funeral, and she just cannot bring herself to leave the house. And I mean, I believe this is daytime. This is early afternoon, early morning time, and she hears men outside of her house. And it's 3 men, and she hides, and they break into her house. Hence the name, Intruders. They break into her house, obviously, to look for this money. Unbeknownst to them, she is still there. And what transpires is this little cat and mouse game where, as you can imagine, tables turn in the second half of the movie. The tables turn and she is now the cat. But there's some weird twists
the third act
that aren't just the fact that she's now after him, Yeah.
Do
you want to give that away?
Well, let's go ahead and do that, because it's given away, but it's also the main critique.
Okay, so if you're watching this, major spoilers ahead. I know this movie just came out less than a month ago, so if you haven't seen it yet, turn this off and go watch the movie.
Or just not.
Or continue to watch us and
just save yourself a bit. Save yourself that round.
Yeah.
Basically, it turns out they have a dungeon kind of in the basement, but it's not a dungeon. It's a holding cell.
Yeah.
Done like a little girl's room. And you come to find out that Anna was molested by her father as a child, and Conrad killed their father. And she's been traumatized ever since, and Conrad just got in his head, the only way she can get over her phobia is by, having someone, a pedophile, ask for forgiveness, so she, as a surrogate father to her. So basically all they do, they pick up pedophiles, take them down the room, and pretty much force them to confess and say they're sorry before blowing their own brains out.
Yeah. So it almost has like,
it's just as weird as it sounds.
it almost has like a little, yeah, it's totally just like, huh? It almost has like a saw spin on it, you know, with the whole like doing it yourself kind of thing, you know, without actually killing yourself. But
yeah, so it's saw, but like a
I mean, I'm not sure what I expected out of this movie. The premise is very, cut and dry. It's intruders come in, tables turn, woman is now coming out. So it plays out, or it should have played out like a typical revenge film, which, obviously would not have been anything new whatsoever.
Or it could have played out like what I was hoping for. People under the stairs.
Yeah.
Break into someone's house. Oh shit, they're all nuts.
Yeah, total cuckoo birds. Yeah. But
that's what I was hoping for.
But it felt like they were
nice doing... girl just turns out to be this crazy serial killer.
Yeah.
That, it's like butchering people in the basement. That would have been interesting.
Yeah.
This one was like,
It's like they almost did that, but then they didn't want to do what has been done so many times. So they thought they were going to do something interesting and something new and something out of the ordinary when...
Well, they wanted to make it more psychological than visceral.
Yeah, and I give them...
It's fine if they could have actually done that well, but they just didn't. It just was kind of bland.
It felt very forced.
Yeah.
It felt forced, and like I said, it's like it almost like they wrote the movie halfway and then went, let's just do this real quick,
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like the third act is where it just goes...
Yeah.
Just fall right apart because of that one thing that feels really just tacked on.
And if you've seen their segment that they wrote for VHS, which was Vicious Circles, and if I'm not mistaken, that's the wraparound segment, it almost has the same problem. Started off interesting, and the end just kind of went, it kind of fizzled out. It fizzled out. It wasn't as climactic as I kind of expected it to be. The ending itself, or, some of them just kind of got let go and... everybody was, it wasn't necessarily a happy ending, but it also wasn't as, intense as I kind of expected it to be.
Yeah.
And that might have been a budget issue. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe timing. I don't know, because I didn't get to see what the budget was. And the movie's only 90 minutes, but it's an hour and a half. I've seen movies do that in 60 minutes.
Yeah, you're right about the ending. The ending just felt... It worked as far as the character arc of the story.
Yeah.
But logically speaking, it made no sense. So you have a house full of dead bodies, and what are you going to do? Just kind of... and walk away?
Yeah.
Aren't the cops going to be involved at some point?
Yeah. I was all a little confusing. Like you said, there was nothing... and obviously you kind of have to have some of that suspension of disbelief when you're watching horror movies. But this was just a little too, like... They didn't want you to ask any questions. This is a movie that you shouldn't even be asking questions about. It's not a movie that needs to be overthought, which is obviously what we're doing right now anyways when we make these videos, which is no big deal. But this is a very simple movie that wanted to be a little bit more than it was.
But that's the problem. If it would have been a simple, like, just kind of dumb horror movie where you just turn your brain off, that's fine. I would have liked that. But because it tried to be more psychological, that means I'm going to try to...
Yeah, so it forced us to sit there and really, like, figure this out, and then at the end, and you're just... And it makes you question these things from a logical standpoint of, well, what's going to happen here? Did her and so-and-so just go, that's it? Did they just say bye?
Yeah.
Never, what?
What's his name just drove off. I'm sure he's driving off to the cops.
Mm-hmm.
Just throwing your house.
I'm sorry, some of those wounds require a hospital, and they're going to ask him what happened, People ask what happened to these men that...
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, you take a kind of no-brainer horror movie, like Night of the Demons, the original Night of the Demons. There are logic holes left and right. But of course you're not going to care because... Dude, it's a cheesy monster movie.
Yeah, exactly. And of course we cannot compare something like this to a monster movie or, a
yeah, but that's the reason why are nitpicking, because it isn't that.
Yeah. It's not all bad. It's not all bad. There's, the acting actually wasn't terrible. It was okay. It was okay. It wasn't bad. I think the only one that I just really was like, I don't care too much for was Vance, the brother. But you don't see too much of him throughout the film anyways at a certain point.
I thought, like, Anna, her character was bland. But then again, as a traumatized molestee, maybe she's kind of messed up in the head. That's why
it makes a little sense after a while. You're like, oh, okay, I get it now.
It's like, oh, people are breaking into my house. She seemed a bit calm for that. Just a little bit.
Yes. And I mean...
And that's what I noticed. I was like, even if you're messed up, you'd still be like, oh, shit, people are in my house.
Yeah.
Like,
sorry, like, I don't... I may be... I may be a shut-in and, like, I don't like to go out much, but I'm not agoraphobic, so I don't know what agoraphobics really deal with. But, like, I'm sorry, but if a motherfucker was breaking into my house, I'd be like, fuck this shit, I'm out. I mean, and that's another thing that kind of just messed us up, just to go away from the acting for a second. It was like, when one of the guys throws her out of the house to, like, fuck with her, it's daytime. It's daytime, and okay, I can understand, like, oh, some people might be at work, but she's like, there's obviously, like, you would be able to see this. Neighbors could hear this.
Well, I assume they lived out fairly in the country because
no, it was like a pretty suburban house. Like,
and there's a gunshot that goes off.
The beginning shot was the opening shot was their house. Okay. You could see it was a yard. It was a suburban neighborhood.
Which then the ending kind of even makes even less sense because someone gets shot. A gunshot could be heard by neighbors. They call the cops.
Well, that's why when JP's like trying to get her back inside and calming her down, he's like, he keeps looking out and is like making sure.
Yeah, that's the weird thing. Because at first, when I thought, okay, maybe they're in the country, that's why it's like he threw her outside. I was like,
Yeah. Some of, and again, those are just some things that you're not meant to just don't ask questions about this. Don't pay attention to this part. But yeah. So, anyways, I think for me also Rory Culkin's character was a little like it just felt like I like him as an actor. He just is like not very good in this. I don't think it just felt a little out of place.
He was good as like when I thought he was only like a side character that just delivered food. He seemed really entertaining. Then I was like, oh, okay. But when he had more of a part, I was like, fill out that wall. But JP, I did like his character because his character did have an arc in the movie.
Yes. He's played by Jack Kesey, who also, if you watch The Strain,
which is her favorite show.
Yes. He plays Bolivar and the new master, which is really cool to see. Perry's played by, I don't remember his name, but he's played by the nerd in Freaks and Geeks with the Coke bottle glasses and stuff. So I was just like, oh, neat. There's all these people we kind of recognize and stuff like that. So it was neat. I mean, they had a decent cast. It might have been a result of the script, might have been the reason why, I mean? Why some of it was a little bad. I mean, like I told you, my big thing is that there are a lot better movies that had this basic outline. And if you want to watch something that has this basic outline, but is way better, your next is probably going to be your best bet.
Yeah, that's going to be on the top of the list. Yeah.
If you really want to watch a home invasion movie with like a badass chick fucking turning shit around and murdering the hell out of people, you're going to do something like that. You're going to want to watch that.
Or Inside. Yeah,
but that's a little bit more heavy duty. That's a little bit more heavy.
It's still a great movie.
That's a heavy duty film, man.
But yeah, you're right. I think the acting was good. The characters were generic, though.
Yeah.
Because, you had the JP, the big main honcho. You have the crazy dude.
Yeah.
Which Harry was crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting movie. But it just missed the mark. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think this is definitely not worth a purchase. I would say
it's definitely worth like a red box rental. I can see everybody, if you see it at red box.
Or wait until it's on Netflix.
Yeah.
Because I'm kind of on the level of wait until you can watch it for free. To where if you don't like it, you don't feel like you wasted a cash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not going to feel like you've completely wasted your time watching this. It's definitely like, it seems like it would be a fun Friday night watch. Like, okay, I watched it, now let's put on something better. You know?
All right, I think that's about it. We will, Stacey, I'll see you in 2 days. We'll see the rest of y'all in a week. Okay, for Horror Huddle, this is Ash and Stacy Beth. Y'all take care now, okay?
Thanks for watching, guys.